maybe we should begin. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Microsoft Ignite the Tour Amsterdam. This is our largest tour stop, so it's really exciting to be here. Yeah, let's do a little round of applause there for that. That's awesome. So thank you so much for joining me for the early morning session. It's the first session of the day. My name is Aya Tange, and I'm a product marketing manager at Microsoft. And today I have the pleasure of talking to you about Microsoft Teams and what we have new for you. So in this session today, I'll give you a quick overview of what Microsoft Teams is, and then I'll jump into what's new in our collaboration capabilities, our meetings and calling, our IT functionalities, and last but not least, I'll talk about our Microsoft Teams platform and how you can best customize that to fit your needs. I'll also show you how we're extending the power of Microsoft Teams to industry-specific workflows, especially for our first-line workers. And so I will show those capabilities at the end. And I'll make sure to leave some time for Q&A, as I'm sure many of you have questions, and we've got some great Teams experts in the room, so we can get all of your questions answered. But before we jump into all the new things, let's take a step back and talk about where this is all coming from. And it's coming from the trends that we're seeing in the changing modern workplace. The way in which organizations the way they work have evolved. People are becoming more mobile and social. We've seen an increase in the use of social tools at work. People are communicating and collaborating on these social tools for work purposes. We've also seen an increase in the use of the number of devices. I see this within myself. I jump from my phone in the morning when I'm waking up, I check my Teams, I check my Outlook, and then I head onto my tablet when I'm on my commute on the bus. And then when I get into the office, I get onto my PC and I start my day. We've also seen the workforce become more diverse and global. Today, we have up to 5 generations working together, all with backgrounds and work style expectations. And people are working across all around the world. So people are working from their homes, from offices, and by 2020, we see up to 72% of people working remotely. We've also seen a movement towards transparency and inclusivity in how decisions are being made at work. Organizations are becoming more flat. And with that, people are now on twice as many teams as they used to be 5 years ago. So that means a lot more collaboration. On a day-to-day basis, we're now seeing 80% of employee time being spent collaborating with others. And so for teams to be at their very best, we need to make sure that they feel included, they have the information that they need, and they can participate in the collaborative process. And that's really why we've built Microsoft Teams. And what happens when you don't give them the tools that they need? They'll go download consumer-grade tools. They'll have different logins, different experiences, share information to places they probably shouldn't be sharing information to, which essentially causes risk as shadow IT develops. So that's why we've built Microsoft Teams. The way I like to explain Microsoft Teams is it's the hub for teamwork that allows you to communicate and collaborate in a single and secure location. You can communicate via our chat, meeting, and calling capabilities. You can collaborate because we're deeply integrated with the Office 365 suite. So you can use all of the apps that you're familiar with and most likely love, all within the context of Teams. But we know you're probably not only using Office apps. If you are, that's great. But we've also made the Teams platform customizable and extendable so that you can actually bring in all of your third-party apps, services, and tools via our tabs, connectors, and bots, and you can use everything in one platform. And last but not least is working with confidence with our enterprise-grade security to protect your data, as well as the manageability and compliance controls that you'd expect with the Office 365 suite. And today, I am excited to tell you that Teams is the fastest growing business app in Microsoft's history. We recently also turned 2 years old. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you sing happy birthday to us. But it's a really exciting moment for us. We now have over 500,000 organizations using Teams today. 91 of them are Fortune 100 companies. We support 44 languages in 181 markets. And we have over 150 organizations with over 10,000 or more active users. So let's open it up to the audience today. How many of you are part of that 500,000 number? That is awesome to see. Thank you so much. And for those who didn't raise their hand, that's okay. There's always room for improvement, so I'll make sure that I give you some resources to get started. So let's talk about content collaboration and what we have new for you here. When I talk about content collaborations, these are the tools that I'm using on a regular basis. This is being able to chat with my coworker in Singapore in a private one-on-one chat, or being able to have a group chat with my immediate team back in Bellevue, Washington, or being able to have a threaded conversation with my engineering counterparts that's visible for the entire team to chime in and we can have a great discussion. In terms of collaboration, it's being able to add a Word document into my team so that we can live co-author and finish the Word document together before I send this off to a customer. Or being able to add my Power BI dashboard right in the context of Teams so that I can watch how my marketing campaign is doing. And so with these tools, I've seen a huge increase in my productivity and efficiency just because everything is in one location. So what do we have new in content collaboration? As you can see, we have a lot of new features. But instead of reading off of this boring slide, let's jump into a demo and I'll show you this in real time. So I will switch here to my demo. Great. So here I am in my Microsoft Teams desktop app. And I typically start my day in the activity feed. And this really looks like a social media feed. And you can see everything that's happening within all of my teams. But sometimes there's so much information that it gets a little overwhelming. So I use my filter button here to really triage the important information, whether that's my unread messages, or my replies to a conversation thread, or my missed calls, or my voicemails. But my favorite is looking at my app mentions. And this is really how I create my to-do list in the morning, because this is where someone really needs my attention. They need me to answer a question, or they need me to review something. So this is where I start my day. I then will jump to chat. And this is where you have your private one-on-one chats, as well as your group chats. And one way that I really stay organized is I can actually pin, if I click on the ellipses here, I can pin this chat to the top. And these are my pin chats that I'm using on a regular basis. So underneath that, I will have all my recent chats that come in, but this is just an easy way to know where my people are at the top. Then I'll jump into Teams. And this is really where all the collaboration magic happens. So just for some context here, I'm part of the Contoso IT team, and I've been working on the Teams upgrade. So you can see here a list of channels. The way I like to explain channels is really where people can communicate and collaborate about a particular topic. So they have a shared workspace. So anything Teams upgrade related will be in this channel. So you can see here, we're having a lot of rich conversations. And people are communicating, collaborating. I just added an Excel document, and people are now replying to this thread. You can reply and have threaded conversations so that you can keep all of your messages together. I've also, just to humanize the conversations, because I don't get to work with my coworkers face-to-face all the time, we have stickers, emojis, and GIFs to make the workplace a little bit more fun. But now I can also compose a more formal post using our rich text editing icon. So here now I can add a subject. I can add bullet points. I can even highlight things or make things bolded. I can make the message important so that people can really see the message, and they'll typically get an icon that you see right here. I can also hyperlink text as well. These are capabilities that we didn't have at the very beginning, but now I'm using these on a regular basis. I've also added my Power BI dashboard here. So now I can always keep tabs on my IT spend. And I can actually click into these dashboards as well here. So I can look at what's happening in Australia, in Europe, so that I don't have to jump to another window. I've also, from a project management standpoint, also added my planner. So this is really important while we're doing this Teams upgrade. I know what we have to do, what's completed, and what's on the backlog. But now let's jump into chat, and I want to show you some new capabilities that we have. So I've been working with Jeremy on this Microsoft Teams flyer. And I was looking at it the other day, and I just didn't think that the subtext under there was really making much sense. And so I'm trying to explain this to Jeremy, but it doesn't seem like he's understanding what I'm referring to. And I typically think I'm good at explaining myself, but I guess it's not really working out. So I have a couple of options here. I can first continue to chat with him and try and explain it through my words, or I can jump on a call with him straight from here, have a little extra chit chat, and then share my screen. But what we've done to now increase your efficiency is add a direct screen sharing in private chat. So now I can immediately just share my desktop or a specific window with Jeremy to show him exactly what I'm talking about. So it's really about increasing your efficiency here. And speaking of efficiency, we've also added tabs in private chat. Tabs is something that you're probably familiar with in your teams and in your channels, but we're adding tabs to private chat because we know that you're not only collaborating in a team setting, you're also working and collaborating in a one-on-one private setting. So now I can add my Word document that we've been working on together, but I've actually already done that here. So now I have that Teams flyer pinned to the top so I always know where it is. And I can see the document right here. I can also edit this directly in Teams. I can pop this out into my Word desktop app, as well as edit it in Word Online. So it just depends on your preference. So this is now available for you today. Now I'm going to jump to my Teams here. And I've been recently working with some coworkers in Berlin. And I told them that they are going to be the pilot site for our Teams upgrade. And it looks like Miriam has responded, but she's responded in German. And although I wish I could really speak German, I don't. But now with our new inline translation feature, I can translate her German into English so that I know exactly what she's saying. And what I love about this is now I can communicate and collaborate with people all around the world, even if we don't speak the same language. And it really creates an inclusive environment. And today we support 44 languages, which is really exciting. But speaking of inclusivity, I also want to show you our immersive reader. So in every conversation in the ellipses, I can click into the immersive reader. And this allows you to personalize text and page layouts for increased visibility. So here you can see it popped up into a larger window. And now I can look at my text preferences and change the size, depending if I want it larger or smaller. I can also increase or decrease the spacing between the words, as well as I can change the theme. So I can use a dark format if it's easier for me to read, or keep it as a light format. Then within reading preferences, I can also use line focus. This allows me to take away all the distractions and read line by line. And if I'm having trouble reading the screen, I also now have a personalized text reader, which actually reads out the entire conversation to me so that I don't have to read the screen. But this is a great accessibility feature, and it allows people to bring their best selves to work. So let me exit out of this. Great. So let's open it up to the audience again. Who here has existing SharePoint sites and they're using SharePoint today? A lot of people. So what we're doing here is we're making sure that we have a great integration with existing SharePoint sites and teams. And so soon, you'll be able, if you click on the plus button here, you'll be able to add your existing SharePoint pages and lists with its full fidelity intact. So you can see here it's pulling up all of my SharePoint pages as well as my lists. And I've actually already added this to my team here, so you can see my new site, and it'll look the same as it would on SharePoint Online, but I have this now in the context of Teams. I also have added my SharePoint list on device inventory that you can easily find here as well. We also will have an update to the Files tab, and you will soon have the full power of SharePoint document libraries, where you can pin documents online, sync files offline, as well as create custom views. So you will see this update in the Files tab shortly. And I also want to show one more that I can't unfortunately demo. We also have the SharePoint Teamify button that's coming soon. So on your SharePoint sites, in the bottom left-hand corner, you will soon see a button that says you can actually create a team from your SharePoint site. So you can click with one click, and it'll create that team for you. So if you're interested in learning more about SharePoint and Teams, we have a great session later this afternoon called Architecting Teamwork with Teams and SharePoint. And last but not least, in the content collaboration portion, we just announced at Enterprise Connect yesterday in Orlando that we will soon have secure private channels coming later this year. Secure private channels will allow you to customize which members can see the conversations as well as files within that channel. So you can now restrict that participation without creating a brand new team. So I'm sure many of you are familiar, but this was one of our top requested features. And so I'm very excited to tell you that we are testing this internally as well as with select customers. So now let's talk about meetings and calling. Meetings and calling is something that probably everyone does on a regular basis. It's still the primary way in which we get work done. And it's important that our technology works for us as well as helps us be on our A game. So let's see how many meetings people have on a weekly basis. Who has 10 meetings a week? Let's make this a competition. 20 meetings a week? 30 meetings a week? All right, who's going to win with 40 meetings a week? No. Maybe we've got a couple. But as you can see, there's a lot of people who have meetings on a regular basis, and now with Microsoft Teams, we have a complete meeting solution that supports sharing, video, and audio conferencing. And so now I can connect to a meeting whether I'm on the go on my phone or whether I'm sitting at my desk, whether it's formally scheduled or if it's spontaneous, both with internal and external users. We also have a cloud telephony-based PSTN calling system so that you can connect with people all around the world built on our worldwide network. So what do we have new in meetings and calling? Again, we have a great full list, but instead of reading off of this boring slide, let's go back to my demo. So here I am in my meetings tab, where I have my daily view of my meetings. I can also schedule a meeting directly from this platform. I can create a new meeting. I can also create a meeting within a specific channel. But we recently just announced, now this is publicly available for everyone, you can now create a new live event. And the live event allows up to 10,000 participants who can actually work together in real time. So here I can show you, I can make this just a test. I can add the location, the start time, as well as I can invite the presenters. And if I click next here, I also have the live event permissions. I can decide whether I want to invite only specific people or groups, or I can invite the entire organization. And sign in and authentication is required for this one. And here you see there's one more at the bottom, but actually my IT admin has disabled this function, so it depends on what your IT admin decides. I can also make this live event public, where there's no sign-in required. It also can help me produce my live event. I can record the event, as well as make it available to attendees after the live event so that they can go back to it on demand. We also have attendee engagement reports and can even do Q&A. So please make sure to check this out, as this just went available for everyone. So I'm going to discard this. But so here, when I click into this Exec Review Teams Upgrade meeting, I can see everything that's happening within it. Who the organizer is, who the attendees are. I can also see the agenda. And if I want to chat with these participants, I can do this before, during, or even after the meeting. But let's actually join this meeting. So what I love about Microsoft Teams is it now gives me a pre-join screen. You don't have that awkward moment where you think your video's off, but it's actually on, or you think you're muted, but you're actually not on mute. Now I can choose the way I'm going to enter the meeting and choose my audio and video settings. So I'm actually going to mute myself, but keep my video on. My new favorite feature is background blur. Background blur allows me to remove the distractions behind me so I can stay focused in on the meeting. I use this all the time, whether I'm at the airport and there's a lot of commotion behind me, or I'm working from a cafe, or even when I'm at home because I have a dog that likes to pace back and forth behind me. So now that I'm ready to join the meeting, let's enter this, and you'll see me on the big screen. So I'm sure many of you have that moment where you want to share content in real time. But I typically don't show content from my PC. I usually do that from more of a mobile device. And that tends to be my phone. So let me show you what my Teams mobile app looks like. So here I am in the Teams mobile app. You can see that it looks very similar to what the desktop app looks like. I have my activity, my chats, Teams, meetings, and calls. But what you can see here is that there's a purple banner at the top. And so the mobile app knows that I'm already in a meeting from my PC. So now it's saying, Exec Review Teams Upgrade. Join to share content from this device. And now with this mobile companion feature, with one touch, I can join this meeting both from my mobile device and my PC. So I'm going to show content from my mobile phone, but I'm going to show you what this looks like from my computer. So here, I'm going to share my screen on my phone, and in a second, you will see yourself. Everyone wave, say hello. Awesome. But what this does is it makes the mobile phone now the main content in the meeting. So I can toggle easily from device to device. So let's hang up here. Awesome. We'll say goodbye on the big screen. Awesome. So if you have PSTN calling integrated into your Microsoft Teams platform, we also have the calling capabilities. So you'll have all of your call controls here, as well as your phone number. You'll have your speed dial, your favorites, as well as all of your contacts, your history, and your voicemail. So I have a couple extra things to show you here. So probably many of you have had that moment where you've missed a meeting, or you're double booked, or there's time zone differences, and you just can't make every single meeting. But we now have a meeting recording and transcription capability that records your meetings so that you can go back to them at a later time. So I recently missed this Teams rollout planning meeting. Thankfully, my coworker Lydia has already added the PowerPoint deck, as well as recorded the meeting. So now when the recording is done, it'll be added to that threaded conversation, and now I can watch this recording in its entirety. But sometimes I don't have time to do that. And I'm running late, and I only want to focus on specific parts that are relevant to me in the meeting. And I can do that now because of the transcription services powered by Microsoft Stream. I can turn my captioning on so I can see exactly what's being said in the meeting. I can also search for specific keywords. In this case, I'm in charge of guest access, so now I can see exactly where people are talking about it in the meeting. So it looks like they start talking about it at 8 minutes, 45 seconds. But when I click on the 9-minute mark, you'll see the recording will actually jump to that point in the meeting. And now I can pay attention from here and make sure I have all the information I need and I have all the action items for the next meeting. So now I'm going to share with you some really cool things that we just announced at Enterprise Connect. So you are really the first audience outside of Enterprise Connect to see these in action. So let me jump back to my presentation here. And I'm going to show you customized backgrounds, which are coming later to you this year. So now we are taking background blur. Pretty funny, right? We're now taking, thank you, let's give it a round of applause. So we're taking now background blur to the next level and allowing participants to actually create custom backgrounds, whether that's an office or even their company logo. But what we're hoping this does is improving the effectiveness of your remote meetings by actually allowing people to use video, but still minimizing the distractions behind them. We also will soon be adding, and it'll be coming in English preview, we'll soon be adding live captions to your meetings. So this will make your team meetings more inclusive, particularly for those who are deaf, hard of hearing, who have different language proficiencies, or people who are even just dialing in from a loud location. And so now attendees can actually read the speaker captions in real time, they can stay in sync, and still collaborate and discuss the meeting content. We also are introducing the Microsoft Whiteboard in Teams meeting, and this is currently in public preview. This will enable you to actively engage with all the participants in the meeting in an infinite digital canvas. So you can now collaborate, whether you're in the room or whether you're remote, and you can work together in real time. And you can access this just by clicking on the share tray at the bottom. I also want to talk about cloud video interop. Who here has existing room technologies or legacy devices? Awesome. So we want to make sure that you can still join your team meetings from these older devices. And so we're working with our partners, Polycom, BlueJeans, and Pexip, to make sure that you can join these meetings. So they have subscriptions for you live to use today. And if you're interested in this, they actually are on the show floor. So please make sure you go check them out, check out their booth, and they can answer all of your questions. And last but not least, let's talk about our team's devices. Devices are really important because you can't have a good meeting or call with an unreliable device. I'm sure many of you have experienced that moment where you can't connect because your audio is not working or your sound's not coming through, so you're late to the meeting. But now with Microsoft Teams, it's our goal to make sure that you start your meetings on time. And so now we have an amazing and growing list of Microsoft Teams devices. We're working with our partners to create purpose-built devices, both for the personal and shared space. And only with these certified devices will you be able to hit that high bar of video and audio quality that you would expect with Microsoft Teams. So as you can see, we have a great list of new devices. So in the shared space, we're excited to announce our 6th meeting solutions partner, Yealink. And Yealink has some great bundles for both the smaller rooms as well as the larger rooms. But we're also working with Lenovo, Poly, and Creston. So if you're interested in the shared devices, please check those out. On the personal side, we have our first ever true wireless earbuds by Jabra. We also have a brand new category device with the Poly Alera 60. This allows you to take your mobile device, turn it into a desk phone, and added bonus, it also charges instantly, so you can be on your way after your meeting. We also have some great speakerphones by Jabra, Sennheiser, and Yealink, and all of these speakerphones actually have a dedicated Teams button on them. And in the phones category, we have our very first video phone by Yealink, but we also have phones from Audio Codes and Creston and Poly. So if you're interested in seeing more of our Teams devices, please visit office.com/teamsdevices to see all of them. So we've talked a lot about different teams today, but we haven't talked about the most important team. That's the people in the background enabling modern teamwork. And that's everyone in this room today. So let's talk about security, compliance, and manageability, and what new IT capabilities that we have to help you better deploy, manage, and secure Microsoft Teams. So I'm sure many of you are already aware of the places where you can actually manage your Teams experience. We first have the Microsoft Teams Admin Center. This is where you can manage all of your functionalities within Teams, whether that's meetings, calling, messaging, and other org-wide settings. We also have the Azure Active Directory Admin Center. This is where you can create all of your policies that really span the entire M365 platform, but you can do policies such as group policies for guest access, for naming, as well as conditional access. And you can, of course, use your PowerShell commands to do this. Lastly, we have the Office 365 Security and Compliance Center. This is where you can manage all of your scenarios around security and compliance, such as retention, e-discovery, as well as data loss prevention. So let's jump into each part of these admin centers and see what we have new. So within the Microsoft Teams Admin Center, you now can manage all of your teams directly from here. So if you go in the left-hand navigation bar, you can click into Teams and Manage Teams, and you will see every single team that has been made in your tenant. From here, you can manage membership, you can add or remove channels, you can change settings, or even create a brand new team. This is really useful when, let's say, someone is an owner of a team that's a very active team, but they decide to leave the company. The IT admin can actually go in from the back end, remove them as the owner, and add someone else as the owner so that the team can continue to be used. So hopefully this allows you to manage your teams a little bit more easily. Who in the room is in charge of administering teams in their organization? Awesome, so I see some hands up in there. So here we've added some new admin roles so that you can delegate who's doing what within your admin team. So we have 4 roles for you today. The first is the Teams Service Administrator. This individual will be in charge of the entire team's workload. They will be able to create as well as manage Office 365 groups. So this individual will actually have the highest level of access. You then have the Communications Manager. They will be in charge of managing all of your meetings and calling functionalities. For example, adding conference bridges or changing phone number assignments. We then have the Communications Support Engineer. They will be in charge of troubleshooting your communications issues and will have access to the advanced call analytics tools. This includes being able to see the entire call record within your organization. Then we have the Support Specialist, who will help the support engineer, but they will also be in charge of helping with the troubleshooting, but they will only have access to the basic call analytics tools. So for example, let's say I call in and I'm having some trouble. The support specialist would only have the ability to look into my call record, whereas the engineer will actually be able to see my record as well as everyone else's to see if it's happening with other folks in your organization. So hopefully these admin roles can help you better manage who's doing what within your admin team. We also want to make sure that you can understand how your organization is using Teams. So we now have analytics and reporting tools where you can understand Teams usage, whether that's the active users or the active channels or who's a guest in your Teams. You can also click into at a user level and see what someone is doing in their calling, in their messaging, or even when their last activity was. We also can look at a device usage level. So you can see this on all of your devices running Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android. So you can find this in the left-hand navigation bar under Analytics and Reporting, and you can create your own usage reports. And we're doing this so that you can help track your adoption of Teams and identify any opportunities for more teamwork. So now let's talk about the Azure Active Directory admin portal. So here you can create teams based on dynamic group membership. I'm sure many of you have teams where the membership is fluid and people are constantly leaving and joining. So now with this dynamic group membership rule, if a user or device satisfies the rule, they will automatically be added to the team. If they no longer satisfy the rule, they will be removed. And so how does this really work? You first have to create an Office 365 group with the dynamic membership rule. Then the team owner can convert that group via the Teams client. So hopefully now you don't have to do anything manually. Now the Office 365 Security and Compliance Center. We just announced, yesterday actually, that data loss prevention policies are now available for chat and private chat and channel conversations. So we want to make sure that you can identify, protect all of your information, whether that's healthcare information, social security numbers, or credit card information. So how does this really work? Let's say I'm talking to my colleague Alex, and Alex and I are talking about a customer, and I decide to share some credit card information. Alex will get the notification, DLP will kick in, and actually block the message, just like you see in the screen here. And you get a red box. I also will get that notification saying that I shared sensitive information and the message wasn't delivered. But the reason why we're doing this way is so that we don't compromise the team's performance. And last but not least, we now are coming soon, we are announcing information barriers. This allows you to avoid conflicts of interest within your organization by limiting who can talk to who within your organization. So this can help limit the disclosure of information between these different holders. And this is really important for organizations who have to adhere to ethical wall requirements or highly regulated industries, such as financial institutions. So this is coming soon, so keep an eye out. But we understand that one size doesn't fit all, and that people have different needs, whether you're a nurse or a doctor, or whether you work at a financial institution, or whether you're a retail employee. And that's why we've made the Microsoft Teams platform customizable and extendable so that you can bring in all of your third-party apps, services, and tools into one platform. And if you haven't checked this out already, we have a great app store in the bottom left-hand corner. We have a growing list of apps. We have over 200 applications, so please make sure to check that out. But what do we have new in the Microsoft Teams platform? You can now publish your own line of business apps to your private Teams store. So I'm sure many of you have existing investments in HR, IT, or other employee resources. So why not take those existing investments and modernize them and bring them into Teams? Some that I do on a regular basis is being able to actually do my expense report right within the Teams platform. I will get a notification that an expense report is coming in, and I can approve or deny that expense report. One that sounds maybe a little bit silly is I can also now chat with a bot to ask what the cafeteria menu is, so I know what's for lunch. And that really determines my kind of feeling for the day. But we also now have the deeper integration with the Microsoft Graph. And so we've recently launched a bunch of new APIs to help you automate the creation and archiving of teams. We've also added team templates. This allows admins to quickly predefine a team's setups. So whether that's pinning documents, or creating channels, or adding third-party apps and services. So this allows people to focus now more on the collaboration part rather than actually setting up their team. So if you are an admin and you see a team setup that really works, make that a template and you can continue to use that for new teams. For the developers in the room, we have now key integrations with Jira, Confluence, as well as Atlassian to make sure that you have the tools that you need to build on our Teams platform. And we currently have in preview our voice and video bot APIs, but will soon be available for everyone to use. But we're also now extending the power of Teams to industry-specific workflows. And in this case, I want to talk about our first-line workers experience. Today, we have over 2.5 billion first-line workers. And that includes people who are factory workers, store clerks, and even electricians. And now we've recently announced Shifts, which is your schedule management tool. This allows managers to create, update, and manage schedules, and first-line worker members can look and review those schedules and even request changes. We've also recently added Praise. This is your employee engagement and recognition tool. And so here you can keep your workers motivated and engaged by recognizing employees for their good work. And what we can see here is that it's reducing turnover and increasing employee satisfaction. We've also made the Teams mobile experience customizable so that you can add all of these cool features such as location sharing or your smart camera, or even being able to record audio messages if they don't have time to actually type something out. From an IT perspective, we also now have the first-line worker configuration policy. This allows IT to actually create employee role-based access to team modules that they need, whether they need chat or whether they need channel conversations or even calling. So let me actually show you what this looks like. So here I am in Shifts. You can see my entire schedule, so I can see what's happening in March and April. But I actually can't make this one coming up on March the 22nd. So I want to swap this with my coworker. So I can easily click the swap button, and it was the 22nd here. And I'm going to give it to my coworker, Alex. And now I will send off this request. What this does, it'll send a notification to Alex. Alex will say, hey, do you want to swap? And if he says yes, it'll send a notification to my manager, and my manager can automatically update the schedule. But I can see all of my requests here, whether what's in progress and what's already completed. I can also see my open shifts that my manager needs to have filled, so I can decide which ones I can take. And what I love about this is it's now also telling me which ones I have conflicts with. So I know I can't take that one on Thursday the 4th, but I can take this one on the 3rd, so I'm going to actually request this. And my manager can approve it, and it'll get updated into the schedule. I also can now send praise. So I'm going to send my coworker, Dan, some praise here. So if I click on the ellipses, I can click praise. And I'm going to tell him, let's see, I'm going to tell him that he's awesome. And I'm going to say, thank you, if I can type. Let's see here. Wow, having some trouble today. And I can send that off. So this is how you can use your employee recognition tool. But what we've done on the first-line workers experience is we've made it mobile first, because we know that first-line workers are not sitting behind a PC. They're always on the go and on a mobile device. But now let's talk about what's coming next. And how are we going to continue to evolve Microsoft Teams to become an even more powerful hub for teamwork? So we've recently made a key investment in AI to continue to transform communication and collaboration in a more insightful, proactive, and adaptive way. But what does that really mean? What if Teams could leverage AI so that we could have insights straight within the context of a chat or channel conversation? What if we could use those insights and make it proactive so that we didn't have to search for information anymore? Let's say my coworker Alex asked for this presentation that I just did in Amsterdam. What if Teams actually knew what presentation he was talking about, and now with one click, I can easily send that to him? What if Teams was more adaptive? What if it knew I started my morning on my phone, then on my tablet, and then on my PC. But for AI to work, data is critical. But we have an unparalleled foundation for AI with the Microsoft Graph. The Microsoft Graph is a connected brain of world knowledge, organizational knowledge, as well as individual knowledge. We're getting signals from Office 365, Bing, Windows, and Dynamics, just to name a few. We have over 450 billion user authentications each month. 155 million Office 365 users, and over 1 billion meetings each month with Office 365. So we can use all of these signals and data to create a better customer experience. But not to say that we're not using AI today. We are. And actually, a lot of the capabilities I showed you today include AI. But what we're doing here is we're continuing to invest in this space, so you'll see more capabilities like this in the near future. So this is where you probably want to take out your phones and take a picture. But this is where you'll see all of the features that are available now and coming soon. And you can learn more at the links at below on the aka.ms links. We recently, yesterday, just announced our M365 blog with all of the announcements that I just shared with you, as well as our tech community blog, so please make sure to check that out. Another great resource is our Office 365 public roadmap. That is where you will see all announcements. Does everyone feel good with their pictures? Can I change the slide? Awesome. So I know today I was really only able to scratch the surface, but over the next 2 days, we have some great sessions for you to attend. So if you're interested in security, compliance, and manageability, you can actually stay in this room because the next session is on that. You have TMK 20. If you're moving from Skype for Business to Teams, we have a great session today on moving from Skype to Teams. If you're interested in learning how to get your organization using Teams, an adoption session, please add BRK2486 to your mobile app. And we also have a session tomorrow on voice, meetings, and devices. And for the developers in the room, we have INT30, which is unleashing the extensibility of Teams, as well as a theater session on how to build a bot. And if you're interested in the Teams and SharePoint integration, later today we have TMK 50, which I believe is actually in this room as well. And last but not least, we have a workshop that happens today and tomorrow. It's a 2-hour hands-on workshop where we'll go through some admin scenarios. Probably in your app, it says that it's full or it's waitlisted. I do recommend that you actually still go to the room if you're interested in going, because sometimes they have some slots that free up. And for those who didn't raise their hand and they haven't started using Teams, I want to make sure that you don't go home empty-handed. You can visit aka.ms/startusingteams and you'll have all the resources to get started. For those who need support on deployment and adoption, you can join our Fast Track program for Microsoft Teams. The Fast Track team actually has a booth on the show floor, so if you're interested in that program, please make sure to go check them out. And you also have your one-stop shop for resources at aka.ms/successwithteams. And lastly, please continue to provide feedback, whether that's user voice or directly in the product. Our engineering teams are constantly looking at this to continue to develop the platform. So I want to end the presentation by sending you praise. Thank you so much for joining me today and learning about what's new in Microsoft Teams. But thank you so much for your excitement, your feedback, and your passion, because that's what drives us to continue to drive Microsoft Teams. Thank you so much.